Hi, and welcome to the MedTech Insider, where we give you an inside look into all things med device. My name is Parker Snedden. I'll be your host today, and I have an exquisite guest here with me today, Dr. Mita. She is the Director of Clinical Engagement here at Spinal Simplicity. Mita, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Come all the way from Chicago.
From Chicago. You were texting. Yeah, I was going to say, you were texting yesterday saying it was like 30 degrees out. And welcome to Kansas City.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fun.
I hear the barbecue's great.
Yeah, you've had some barbecue.
Yeah, I have.
Right? Okay.
I've had.
Do you have a favorite yet? Joe's, Q39. Are you that good yet to know?
Controversial.
Okay.
Adam might kick me out of his team, but I don't love burnt ends.
You don't?
I don't.
What
I
do you
think
not
about
like
my
about
cholesterol the entire time I'm having.
Okay, because you're looking at like the fat on the meat and you're going, no thanks.
But I love the mashed potatoes and I love the chicken and I do love the brisket.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Do we have good pizza here?
So I'm a thin crust girl.
Yeah.
I don't like thick crust. I don't understand the obsession with 7 inches of cheese. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But
We don't have deep dish here, really.
Thank God.
Like Chicago style city. So
okay.
yeah. Well, I'm excited to have a conversation with you today, Dr. Day. It's going to be fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mita.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's introduce you to our audience. What's your career background? Where'd you come from?
So I'm a first generation of an immigrant family. My mom was actually born here, and I was born in India. A lot of people find that interesting. I can still become president if I ever need to.
That might be on your path.
But yeah, but I'll start with here for right now. I grew up in Detroit around the automotive industry, so I grew up with a lot of Indian dads who were engineers. And I said to myself, I want to be one of them. I want to be a female engineer. And so I chose mechanical engineering because it just seemed like the very obvious choice being in Detroit. But when I graduated, the automotive industry was actually tanking. So I decided to go into oil and gas. And I'm so glad I did because it was the first time that I had to figure out how to think about safety in everything that I did. So I looked at refineries and made sure that they were equipped for catastrophic failures. Working with vendors, working with folks who worked at the refinery itself. And so just a wide variety of folks had to resonate and figure out communication styles. But constantly looking at data was a center point, really risk modeling, looking at how to manage incoming data and making sure you look at trends. It was always a center point, and little did I know that it would really be a common thread to my life even today. And so after I worked in oil and gas, I wanted to go back to school. And I've always had an inkling to be in medicine, but I just didn't know how.
Why did you have an inkling to be in medicine? Was that from your dad as well?
This is going to be a very trite reason, but yes, it's because of my father and maybe even the founding fathers in my family, but all of them are relatively technical, nobody in medicine. And my grandfather, one of his last letters to me was when I was in 8th grade, and he had said, "I can't wait to see you as a doctor." And I've always had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I thought, I didn't really achieve that, but my husband always reminds me I did.
You are a doctor.
So,
yeah.
But I always wanted to be in medicine because I think maybe he saw something in me and maybe I hadn't. But when I went back to grad school, I thought, you know what, this is my opportunity to find that. And so I was trained to do my PhD by a biomechanics expert at Rush University. He's unfortunately no longer with us, but he was the first person to really show me that an intervention doesn't exist in isolation. And what that means is that there's an unintended consequence to everything you do in the body. And the body is a very complicated, intricate system. And when you disrupt it, you have to think about all of the unintended consequences. And back then, I didn't really know much about lumbar fusion, why people get it. And I was pretty naive to how big back pain was as an industry and as a problem. And realizing, again, how big of an issue this is and how big that reach is to understanding what happens in your spine, again, I came to realize how big the impact of my study was. So again, what I studied in grad school was when you do a lumbar fusion, what happens to the neighboring spine. And it was really interesting to find out, again, how your body reacts to an intervention. Because again, nothing happens by itself or in isolation.
How does it react?
Yeah. So
give me your PhD in 10 seconds.
Right. One of the first thing that happens naturally that people can kind of instinctually understand is when you rigidly fixate one place, if you want the entire lumbar spine to achieve the same level of motion, you're going to have something called compensation. So at the neighboring spines of where you fixated, they moved more. And it's because you're still lifting, bending, rotating the same amount that you were before. And because of that, you're stressing those levels more. And that's the first time I heard cascade, because the cascade that I'm familiar with is more what happens after you do an intervention like fusion. And it was actually the first time I really realized that, again, you do something to a level, there has to be something else that suffers. And again, you can maybe pause or you can delay, but there are unintended consequences. And so while doing that, I actually really thought a lot about staying in academia, just continuing with this legacy of doing biomechanics research. But in the perfect hybrid of our life right then, I was thinking about a family, but also thinking about how I really wanted to also focus on the research that matters in real world. I took an opportunity at WOS, the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons. And
by the way, you were a celebrity there because I was there with you last year. And for those of you that haven't been to that trade show, it's a massive, massive meeting.
It is massive.
And we were walking the trade show, and like every 5 seconds, it'd be like, Mita, Mita, Mita. I mean, it was...
You're so sweet.
You are a celebrity there, so...
You get to know people really quickly. I think it's a smaller community than people think.
Yeah.
But what I saw again was I saw I saw a wide range of orthopedics specialties in trauma, joints, spine, and you get to see how all of them are connected in some way. And what we focused on was building a registry. And so I went from looking at one spine model to looking at millions of data points. And so you really start to look at the population level of data and trends and what a large data set is capable of versus a one patient data set. I was able to meet some world experts in some joints and extremities and spine. And what they really helped me understand is, again, I was behind, a computer looking at Excel spreadsheets of data. What they were able to do is make 2D into 3D. That was kind of my thing when I was at WOS. Is I always said that registries gave you the power to look at data 2D and then understand how you can apply it in the 3D world. And what I mean by that, again, is because you have volume of data, you have volume of you have the ability to, again, extrapolate it with insights that can really be utilized in your everyday. The other thing I really loved about my time at WOS is data really was center to everything, whether it was the hospitals or the payers or the administration, CMS, governmental agencies, surgeons. I mean, you really got to see the ecosystem around data that is possible. And the saying power of data, I feel like I saw the interplay of all of them and how each party maybe leveraged their interests to gain some sort of result from utilizing that data. But yeah, I loved my time there. But again, I think what I was missing was the why. Why am I doing this? And I think my experience, even from prior to grad school, has really poised me well here in that because I understand population level of data, because I understand, again, going deep in just one patient level data, I think being able to see also the stakeholders that are involved in decision making for healthcare, bringing it back to industry and shaping how our technologies play a role in that, I think that's my passion, for at least for the next 5 years.
It's so interesting because the cross section of like your career, what's happening here at Spinal Simplicity, but then probably more importantly, if you look at like AAOS and the spine community, and then now you're here and we're focusing more on we focus on the spine community too, but also we have interventional pain physicians who are our customers, and so you've got this perspective now of what AAOS was like, interacting with spine surgeons more often, and now coming to Spinal Simplicity and engaging in this kind of a brand new market here.
Yeah.
So how has your experience so far translated into how you're thinking about what do you do with this now in this new interventional spine community?
I don't necessarily look at them completely mutually exclusive in that I think of the spine community more as people involved in understanding spine degeneration, not just as the treaters. I think of them as who are interested in helping this community, helping understand, anticipating what comes next. And so patients and physicians are just one of them, I think researchers. But even more, what I've understood is that whether I'm in a world where I'm doing research in open decompression and full unconventional fusion or minimally invasive, spine degeneration and the cascade effect does not necessarily go away. And so my biomechanics understanding and my expertise in that area, it's still applicable. And so understanding what happens after an intervention and how you critically think of the downstream effect is absolutely still critical. I think there is a huge difference between spine or ortho and neurosurgeons versus interventional pain and radiology, in that I find that there's a saturation in understanding the power of data in maybe the orthopedic and neurosurgery community. And also, I do think that there's maybe a little bit lower paced innovation. I'm sure that there is still a level of evolution that's happening there. But what I've noticed is that here in interventional pain and radiology, there's innovation at an incredibly fast pace. That's not just adoption of technique and increasing your ability and your Rolodex of services that you provide, but options and options of therapeutics. There's infinite options that I think physicians here have to decipher between. And I'm sure that's present also in the spine ortho community. I just feel like the innovation here is truly fast-paced, and it feels more entrepreneurial. It feels more competitive in that way, where you do have to really keep up with the next, new technology or new way of doing things. That seems like the best way to continue learning, considering change is the most consistent thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's take that mindset and that process and think about our practices, our accounts, the physicians in this market. as they're thinking about, because really a lot of them, even Aspen's just now starting a registry themselves, right? So I know we've talked about that a lot. But as these practices are thinking about, okay, what do I do now? I want to collect the data, right? You've seen this happen for so many years with orthopedic and neurosurgeons and their hospital systems. What's important to think about from their perspective? Like when they want to start thinking about patient outcome data, what do they think about?
Right. I think of it as you have to nudge them into thinking that this was their idea, meaning you have to convince them that it is something absolutely necessary. And so when they get into a sphere of this is optional, then it becomes something that it's not at the forefront of their practice. The more you can make it where it is organically something that folks are doing already, instead of adding to their burden, the better. Then it becomes less of a chore and more of a, I'm invested in this activity, I'm invested in collecting, I'm invested in seeing this task through because I'm interested in seeing what the data can do for me. In my experience, what I noticed was the perfect combination of there is a carrot and there is a vested interest in this, both the surgeon and the entire administrative support, then you really feel like this is a team that's toward the same goal. Any one of those links, if they're weak, you can imagine that there's probably just more of a difficulty getting everybody to collect and submit data. Yeah.
So even if the physician's excited about it, if their practice isn't, then they're going to have a hard time probably doing that. So yeah, no, that makes total sense. So as you assess the interventional pain market, you've been in it now for some time. How do we as industry partner with society, partner with the practices to, I guess for lack of a better term, just like advance this forward, like where we think it maybe should be from a data collection standpoint? What do we do?
I think that the best way to ensure that our belief in data collection is heard is that we continue to say that it's utilized to protect our field. And I say protect not as a barrier, but as a way to defend with evidence what we're doing and why we're doing and how we're doing it. Because it will be a little bit until we get the governmental agencies to start connecting with us to provide that carrot for institutions and procedures and sites to incentivize for data collection. And so when we get a team of thinking, this is to protect what we're doing and how we're doing it, then you get the sense of urgency that I think we need to have the masses. And it's not just about Spinal Simplicity. It's not just about Company X. It's about the collective nature of interventional pain and radiology, because it can't happen with one. It starts with one. And again, I think that will happen because again, we have leaders such as Dr. Deere and Dr. Beal advocating for data collection and just acuity also. And so the more that we can leverage their experience and again, their advocacy, and again, saying that this is again to protect what we're doing, I think we can get a decent amount of effort and collaboration.
Yeah, you've already done a really good job of that already, getting to know the leaders within this market and collaborating with them. And I like how you're framing that. It's a collaboration, right? It's not just a Spinal Simplicity thing or any other industry partner. You know, it's all of us together and moving the space forward. And so that's really good. Well, it's our privilege to have a PhD who was at AAOS, like for such a time as this, to come to Spinal Simplicity and help move that forward. I mean, that is so exciting. So give me one, like, what are you excited about right now? A passion project that you're working on here at Spinal Simplicity that you want our listeners to know about?
I think I'm working on a couple. Understanding that data collection doesn't have to be difficult, and understanding that achieving consistency in data collection is the backbone of the next generation, and really, again, protecting our field. I love talking about this because when you look at how other disciplines have done it, and then you tell the story of what we can achieve, while it sounds like Mount Everest, it's truly achievable because it's been done before, and people really look at that as like, wow, that's what we can do with data. We can have prior authorization proved just because we're submitting data to a registry. Wow, we can have centers of excellence really recognized as such. Wow, we can have physicians be, again, incentivized by payers because of their outcomes. Like, these are tangible results and things that, yes, while will take time, are achievable. So that's, I think, just a by default conversation I love having, because while it feels long, it is definitely something that's achievable and will assist us in the future. But secondly, the infrastructure that I'm building for that, we have started a registry here. We are actively finding sites and physicians to champion this effort. We can't do it alone. It is very exciting to see how physicians are excited to not only submit their data, but look at their data afterward. That's what we want, is that we want you to interact with it. Because again, data collection is not here just for research. It is to protect what we're doing. And it's protection against payers, against government, against agencies who, again, are constantly playing offense to see how well we play defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. Well said. I'm glad you're on our team, Dr. Day. Thank you for being a part of Spinal Simplicity, first of all, part of this market. And thanks for being with us today. You did a really good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining the MedTech Insider. We will see you next time.
This podcast has been financially supported by Spinal Simplicity. The content is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as medical advice. The views, opinions, and information provided by participants are their own and may not reflect those of Spinal Simplicity. Healthcare professionals must exercise independent medical judgment, and patients should always consult with a qualified healthcare professional regarding medical decisions. Finally, the healthcare industry is constantly changing, and neither Spinal Simplicity nor the participants can guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or timeliness of the information provided in this podcast.